Okay, so today our project is to put together an island rack. If you're looking on your floor plan, if you're a new store, it's the island fixtures you see in the middle. It's I1, I2, I3. So we're going to walk you through step by step how to put it together correctly because the directions have changed and we just want to make sure everybody can visualize how to do it correctly. The first thing you should do is take out of the boxes all your 2-foot by 7-foot grid. Hopefully it's white. And take out all the grids because our first step is going to be to put the legs on all the pieces of grid. These are the parts you need for each 2 by 7 grid. You need 2 of the grid legs, 4 screws, nuts and washers, a screwdriver, and a pliers. So the first step, it sometimes works better if you have a table, or you'll end up doing this on the ground. Either way, if you have a table available, it's a little easier on your back. But you take the grid leg, make sure it's touching, the bottom bracket here is touching the bottom wire, and you use the screws, nuts and washers to run through the double wire here on the grid. Sometimes the fit is a little tight and you have to screw them in. Sometimes they push in just fine. Once you get those through, using the nut and washer on the back side, tighten them up. It's critical that these grid legs get nice and tight because this much of the grid is supported by that leg. So it's important to get them tight. There. Now you repeat this on the other side and repeat those 2 steps on all the 2 by 7 grid. Okay, so here we have all our parts assembled to put together our first island rack. I've got 2 by 7s with the feet on them. I've got our 4 by 4 grid and our 2 by 4 grid, and I've got 16 connectors laid out. So now we'll be able to start assembling the first unit. It'd be a good opportunity now to go find a helper because the assembly goes better when you have 2 people. Okay, so we're ready to start building our island grids. I've got my 2 by 7 grid here and we're going to start with our top 2 by 4. I like to start with the connector in the middle. It's going to take 3 connectors to put this 2 by 4 grid on here. We need that 3rd one in there for strength. So I start here, tightening them down with the Allen wrench as we go. Doing the bottom one, I put the bottom one in the bottom slot. And the top one in the top square. Now when you get to the top one, make sure that it's aligned, the 2 by 4 is aligned to the top of the 2 by 7. Once you have your 3 connectors on, it's a good idea to go back and just double check that they're all tight. As the grid wiggles around, these connectors move a little bit. You need to make sure they're all tight. So we're going to start to put our 4 by 4 grid on now. And we need 5 connectors for this 4 by 4. So I start with 1 connector in the middle. That kind of holds the grid in place. And then I move out from there. So we've got 1 in the middle. We need 1 in the end. So now we'll put 1 a foot from that one, from our first one. When you're tightening these down, you need to make sure that bottom grid is down at the bottom of the 2x7, just like our top one was at the top over here. Okay, I've got 3 on. Again, middle, top and middle. Third one down here. Okay, go. Again, splitting the difference. And finally, our 5th connector down at the bottom of the 4x4. Okay, I've got one side of the grid connected. Now we're going to connect the grid panels to the second 2x4. Remember now, when you are putting the 7-foot together, the grid on one side of the 2x7 is long, and on the other side it's short, so 7 feet and 2 feet. The trick is to get all the wires facing the same direction. On our first piece, all our 7-foot wires, or the long wires, are facing that direction. So this one, I want to make sure those wires are facing the same direction again. Now I'm going to connect the connectors here. Again, 3 connectors on each side of the 2x4, 5 connectors on each side of the 4x4. Don't forget, when you do one section with the 2x4 on the top and the 4x4 on the bottom, the very next section you do, you need to reverse the order. So the 4x4 is on top and the 2x4 is on the bottom. Alternating those 2 grid panels is what gives us all our strength on the island sections. Okay, I've got my single section put together now. My 2 2x7s, my 4x4 and my 2x4. I'm just going to stand this up. Move it closer to in place. Now we're set. Now I can put my top piece on and we'll be ready to keep moving down.